What is going on? Welcome to the Mission Ready Men briefing right here on the SHR Media Network, where we are training up warriors, not mealy-mouthed weaklings. Today is Thursday, December 4th, in the year of our Lord 2025. And this is where we can come to speak truth, stand firm, and fight back against a culture that is trying to steal your faith, your family, and your freedom. And we are in a spiritual battle, folks. It's not just political, and this fight never, ever takes a day off. So we're done pulling punches. That's it. We're done pulling punches. The gloves are off, and we're getting after it. We're getting after it. So be sure to follow us at Mission Ready Men on all the socials: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, X, Getter, Truth Social. And be sure to subscribe to our Rumble and YouTube channels as well. And if you want to let everyone know that you're in the fight, grab your gear at missionreadymen.com, click Shop 7 Armors, and check out all of the great designs that we have over there. All right, we got a packed show. Business is done. It's go time. And I want to just quickly mention that the pipe bomber who was caught on video placing explosives outside the DNC before January 6th has been apprehended. He is in custody. And I haven't really talked much about that at all. It's not something that's I mean, I'm paying attention to it. It's on my radar, but it's not something that I have talked about much on this show. But I will once we get some more information. Once we get some of the details. There is a press conference that is probably is scheduled to start while we're on the air, and so if we can, we'll get to that for a little bit. But otherwise, we will definitely get into that next time we're together. But until then, we got a whole bunch of other stuff to get to, and we're going to do that right now. And the last time we were together, it was election day. There was a special election in Tennessee. And Tennessee is allegedly deep red. The 7th district, which was being contested by crazy leftist. They called her the AOC of Tennessee. She is a lunatic, Afton Bain. And she was going up against Matt Van Epps. And the race was really closer than it should have been. And that's even when you take into consideration that it was an off-year election, special election, not even, there's still going to be another one next year. This person's only going to be in the seat for a year before he has to run again. But that district was allegedly a safe district. It was supposed to be basically a cakewalk. Trump won it by 22 points. Mark Green, who resigned, opening up the seat, won by 21.5 points. It should have not been close at all, despite the fact that it was an off-year election, special election. So Matt Van Epps won by 9. So congratulations to him. Congratulations to the Republicans. They passed with a D. Like I said, it shouldn't have been that close. In these off-year elections, Republicans have notoriously been low propensity voters. And I don't understand. I've been talking about this for a long time, at least since Obama, maybe even before then. I just don't understand how, given how much people complain about how bad Democrats run things into the ground, that there's not more enthusiasm when we have good candidates to vote for. It escapes me completely. And again, off-year election, special election, I don't think anybody expected Van Epps to win by 20 points, or even maybe 15. 11, 12, 13 points should have been doable. He only won by 9. A win is a win. I get that. I'll take it. But it signals, and it doesn't really signal issue. It's been an issue that's been ongoing for ever. And I don't really know what the issue is. I really don't. Is it that so many Republicans are just not engaged, not paying attention? Trump got everyone's enthusiasm up. Trump got everyone's attention. Trump isn't going to be on the ballot next time. What happens then? You're just going to wait, let a Democrat get in office, and then start complaining that things are going to hell again? It doesn't have to be that way. So Afton Bain overperformed in rural Tennessee. And the only county she won, amazingly enough, is the county that she hates. The city that she hates is in that county, and she still won. It boggles the mind. But let's listen to, I'm sure you've heard it before, but let's listen to what this woman had to say about the city that she allegedly, well, since this came out, she obviously says she loves Nashville, but let's take a listen to this.
I've been heavily involved with the Nashville mayoral race because I hate the city, I hate the bachelorettes, I hate the pedal taverns, I hate country music, I hate all of the things that make Nashville apparently an it city to the rest of the country, but I hate it. Yeah, I'm that girl at the airport that all these bachelorettes are giddy walking out in their two-toned colored Pantone pink shirts, and they walk out and they're like, oh my god, Nashville is so bad!
They're so loud.
I've been
Once that came out and once that got widely publicized, how did it get so close? It like I said, it boggles the mind. It really does. Looks like we got some people in the chat. Sean, Sackhead Sean from the Edge of Liberty, thanks for being here. BZ, people are talking about being here first. But BZ says, it is the quintessential problem with the GOP. They suck at coalescing, circling wagons, and getting out the vote. Yes, they do. All of that. All of that is true. Because, and I've said this for a long time, whatever you think of the Democrats, they know how to play the game. And they play it well. And I've said for a long time, Republicans need to take some lessons from them. And I don't mean sink to their level and do ethically wrong things and stuff like that like they do. No. But they circle the wagons. They know how to message. They know how to move with one purpose, with one voice. And I know that that's difficult for Republicans to do, for conservatives to do, because we don't really subscribe to that hive mind mentality. But when it comes to governing and winning elections, you're going to have to get over that. You really are. And publicly show a united front. So a lot of low propensity Republican voters didn't turn out, as to a certain extent to be expected in a midterm election, in an off-year election. But people can't assume that just because you're in Tennessee, just because you're in a deep red district, that your candidate is just going to coast to victory. Because the Democrats are going to do everything they possibly can to make sure that that does not happen. And because of that, Democrats sense weakness. They smell blood. And they're running candidates that they know that their base wants. And why their base wants this, Scott Jennings put it perfectly in some of his commentary after the election results were announced. He was on with Caitlin Collins, and I want to play a little bit of that as well, because he once again, as usual, was spot on.
Well, there's lessons to be learned from everything. When you win, there's lessons. When you lose, there's lessons. And so I'm sure they'll look and see who turned out and what messages were effective and which ones weren't. And that'll be something the party can move going forward. It's an off-year special election. The turnout matrix is far different than a presidential, and it'll be different than what comes out in November. So you can take nothing for granted, of course, and Republicans do have historical headwinds. I still think they are in position to make an argument that their economic theories are better than the Democrats' theories. And Democrats, after all, took prices to the moon.
Well, that's always been true. And unless something drastically changes, will always be true. Democrats are leftist, collectivist, globalist, and they just want to take everything they possibly can from you, because they know how to do it better than you do. That's their philosophy.
And now they want to forget the last 4 years and pretend like this just started 10 months ago. I think most voters know that's patently ridiculous. I do have a slight disagreement with David. I do think we'll hear from her again. I think she'll run again, and I think she and her brand of politics are the median Democrat. This is the basic Democrat you're going to get in most races around the country. This person running on defund the police, radical progressive positions, whether you're in Nashville or Manhattan or Florida or California, wherever you happen to be, this is what the Democratic base wants. The most cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs person they can find. And they're going to look at these results and say, hey, this is how we got so close, so let's replicate it around the country. I think we'll hear from her and her kind for the next year. I don't think it'll be good for Democrats.
He's 100% right, because the narrative is now, because Van Epps didn't win by a landslide, didn't win by double digits, didn't win by 20 points the way Trump and the guy retired whose name escapes me again, because he didn't win by that much, they see an opportunity. And with Mamdani and all these other leftists, the one out in Seattle or Portland or wherever it is, they're all over the place, and they're going to see this, and they're going to think that because it was this close in a deep red district, that they found the formula, and they're going to continue to try to replicate it.
I ask you on that because you said that she ran on defund the police. There were her past comments on that, but she said that was basically when she was a private citizen, before she was representing the state legislature. I mean, that wasn't like a core tenet of her campaign. She talked about affordability. So I think my question is do you really think that's what every Democrat looks like? I mean, I don't think that was the main, that was something that a criticism
Yes.
of hers, obviously her past comments, but that wasn't the, tenet of her campaign or anything.
She got asked about it repeatedly and refused to back away from it. And look, I'm just telling you, this is what Democrats believe, and this is what their base wants. It's why she wouldn't go back on it. I was just a private citizen. Oh my gosh, we've never held what you said as a private citizen against you in a political campaign, for goodness sakes. What a ridiculous way to just maintain a position that nobody likes. This is the median Democrat position. She is the median Democrat candidate, and that's what their base wants. So that's what we're in for, and Republicans need to draw bright lines on this stuff in every race in the country.
Yeah, we'll see what the takeaway.
Spot on, as usual. He was spot on. Republicans need to figure out, they need to come to the realization that elections are won. And they are notoriously good for losing elections. That's the old saying, Democrats don't win elections, Republicans lose them. Republicans need to figure out, come to the realization and embed it in their psyches that this is serious. And they're going to have to buckle down, figure out how to recruit decent candidates and mobilize the base. Get the base excited. Get the base as excited and as motivated as the left is, because all the left really has is orange man bad. They have nothing to offer. Even when Biden was in office, you never heard them say, oh, Biden is great at this, Biden has done this, Biden has done that. No. It's always the Republicans are bad. That was all they had. That's all they still have. And so going by what Jennings just said, because even though I wrote an article, which I'm actually going to talk about later on, it's not all doom and gloom. And I think Jennings is right. This could very well help Republicans, just like in Virginia, Terry McAuliffe, he made a comment about how parents shouldn't, and I'm paraphrasing because I can't remember exactly what he said, but basically he made the point that that parents don't have any right to tell schools what their children should and shouldn't learn in school. And he lost the governor's race to Glenn Youngkin because of that. And that was just par for the course when it came to how ridiculous the left was when it came to their messaging at that time. They had gone bat guano crazy. They still are. I'm not saying that they've recovered from that by any stretch, but it was off the charts, and that cost them the election. And I think this could, if Republicans figure out how to take advantage of it, could be the same, could do the same thing. This election in Tennessee wasn't or is not a crisis, but it is a warning. And Republicans need to take heed. The Republican Party at large needs to take heed. Because, and President Trump, even in his first term, I remember listing a whole litany of his accomplishments that they just could not figure out how to get across to the American people. And the same is true now. Prices are down, inflation is down, but they just can't. And despite the fact that Caroline Leavitt and all of his surrogates are fantastic at getting the message out, for some reason, it's just not resonating, and I don't understand why. So they have to figure out how to adapt and get that message out to get people excited. This was a win, but it was also a lesson that they really must. They need to take heed, because you don't get that many before you lose. You don't get many free lessons before it's all over. And so along those lines, like I said, I wrote an article on SHR Media, which we'll get to. But before we do that, let's see if we can catch up on some of these comments. Wow, there's been a lot of people in the chat. Like I said, BZ, Zombie Force, thanks for being here. Wow, there's a lot. Sackhead Sean says, America was founded on liberty from tyranny, individual freedoms, even as states, which is why there were 13 colonies who will unite when needed to deal with larger issues. Yeah, absolutely. If you choose the Constitution and the founders' beliefs, you aren't picking left or right, you're picking America or not. Yeah, that spot on. Spot on. One flag, one nation. Zombie Force 7014, you are again 100% correct. So I wrote an op-ed on SHR Media, and where did it go? Where I talked about this special election, and I know I just ranted about it for a little while, but this is going to take it in a slightly different direction. Well, maybe not so slightly, but I'm going to expand on it a little more. Because the warning signs, like I said, are everywhere. And if Republicans ignore them, and the left gets the majority, especially in 2026, then 2028 is in real jeopardy. As much as we love J.D. Vance, as much as some people might like to see a Vance Rubio ticket or whatever the case may be, even a strong ticket like that may not be enough if we let this get away from us. And one of the things that is the big thing is we're seeing a lot of retirements. I think there's 22 or 23 Republicans have retired or indicated that they're not going to run next year. And the Democrats aren't losing their incumbents at anywhere near the same rate, as I said right here. And I mentioned earlier that they see weakness. They see weakness, and open seats like this are political landmines. And it's a minefield that we have to figure out, again, how to navigate. And so why are all these Republicans leaving? I mean, it happens in, I believe it was 2022, 18 Republicans left or didn't seek re-election, and there were probably 25 or 30 Democrats. So, I mean, it's not like this is unprecedented. But in the times that we're in right now, it's a perilous time. And we got a number of Senate Republicans who aren't running again as well. So why are they leaving? Some are leaving for more lucrative opportunities, greener pastures. Some are saying that it's become dysfunctional, fighting amongst the leadership, toxic politics, threats. There have been a number of Republicans who have said that the threats that they're getting are too much, and they don't want to risk it. Morale is low, complaining that nothing is getting done. All of that may very well be true, but also it also means that the stakes are incredibly high. Ignoring all the warnings that we're seeing, it's like a klaxon going on, and trying to ignore that. If you ignore that, then you want to lose. You want to lose because the signs are all there. The signs are all there. And if you want to lose, you want to undermine President Trump's agenda, you want to block all of the investigations and oversight that's not that they're making a whole lot of progress in that. I understand. But that's also going to allow the left to get a stronghold. A stronghold that we don't need from them. And the national messaging momentum is going to shift to the Democrats. And we know that they know how to use that. Republicans have had the advantage, but somehow, despite all the talented people that they have over there, somehow they just can't seem to figure out how to get their message across. So this is a problem. And I think a big part of it is and always has been complacency. It always has been complacency. It's like being up by a field goal, kicking the ball back to the opposing team, and celebrating with 2 minutes left because you think the game's won. Meanwhile, Tom Brady's lining up under center. And I'm not suggesting by any stretch of the imagination that the left has anyone on par with Tom Brady. That's not the point. The point is, if you get complacent, anything can happen. Anything can happen. And we see it time and time and time again. This is a perilous time. This is a perilous time, and I know the Tom Brady comment is too far. Yeah, I get it. I get it. That I probably should have used. I don't know. Give me another quarterback. Who knows? I don't watch NFL anymore. But you get the point. You get the point. Okay, Eli Manning. Yeah, there you go. Okay. Oh boy. All right. Let's see if we can get this thing back on track. The collapse that we're seeing, that we're witnessing in real time, again, it's not sudden. These things don't just happen. People, these things drift. And in 2022, when they won the majority, they didn't win by that much. And that should have been a warning. That should have been a warning. The retirement wave that we're seeing right now is warning number 2. And the close election in Tennessee is warning number 3. We may not get a 4th. We may not get a 4th. If there's no course correction, the consequences could be disastrous. The Republicans are heading toward a cliff. They're not barreling towards it. I mean, it's a slow roll right now. But if they're not careful, it could pick up steam really, really quick. So will Republicans do what they normally do and basically just hit snooze on the alarm? Or will they actually treat it like an emergency and do something about it? Because history remembers the wake-up calls. They dismiss the afterthoughts. So pay attention. Pay attention. All right. Wow. I actually got through that quicker than I thought I was gonna. Imagine that. That just means something else is about to go really long-winded. But anyway, before we move on, I want to get a word in from our sponsor, and our sponsor for today's show is, there we go, Patriot Mobile. Patriot Mobile is America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. And now more than ever, we need to make sure that, especially now, we need to make sure that our resources, our dollars, our money go to companies that fight for what we believe in. And we switched to Patriot Mobile a while ago, and it was the best thing we could have done. It was the best thing we could have done for our mobile connectivity. I mean, we had one of the big 3 before, and it was a nightmare dealing with those people most of the time. They could barely speak English, and the customer service when we could get someone who spoke English was just atrocious. So we switched because better customer service, and they don't just talk about their values. They put their money where their mouth is, and they back it up. A portion of every dollar that you spend with them goes to pro-life, pro-family, pro-liberty organizations. So right now you can get a free month of service when you go to patriotmobile.com and use promo code Jackson, or call 972-PATRIOT and use promo code Jackson. Defend freedom with every call, every text, every month. Switch to patriotmobile.com today. All right, y'all. I am Big E, and you are watching or listening to the Mission Ready Men briefing right here on the SHR Media Network, where you can catch Sackhead Sean with the Edge of Liberty, who's in chat right now, every Monday and Wednesday at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific. The Reaver of Common Sense, who's been out for a little while, but we're hoping to get him back really soon, Jersey Joe, every Monday and Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. And BZ, who's also in chat with the Berserk Bobcat Saloon every Tuesday and Thursday at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific, which means he will be on tonight. So be sure to check him out. Check out all of those great shows. And be sure to like and subscribe to all of them. And pray that we have a huge breakthrough. We are at 682 subscriptions. And we want to try and get to 700 before the end of the year. And then we'll start pushing for 1,000 after that. But please like, subscribe, share with everyone that you know so that we can get the word out and reach as many people as we possibly can. All right, now back to our regularly scheduled programming. So, New York. New York just elected a communist mayor who hates the police, just like Afton Bain in Tennessee. Thankfully, she didn't win. Who wants to defund the police, even though he tried to walk that back, but he's also a Muslim who's allowed to lie, so nobody believes him. At least I don't. Maybe some of you do. If you do, then I feel sorry for you. But anyway, they have a problem in New York. They since January, they have let go 7,000 illegal immigrants onto the street. There you go. There we go. New York released 7,000 illegal, New York Post says illegal immigrants onto the street just this year. $7,000 illegal immigrants, violent criminals, just walk right out the door. Some of them have notices to appear and all this stuff. I mean, come on. Come on. This is not an immigration policy. They're harboring criminals. They're protecting criminals. The DHS, Department of Homeland Security, says that New York ignored almost 7,000 ICE detainers just this year. And Mamdani has already said he's not going to allow his police department to work with ICE. The only people that New York refuses to discriminate against are violent criminals. Violent criminals get a pass every single time. I remember when they first passed this cashless bail nonsense, and there were stories, repeated stories of cops watching the people that they arrest walk out the door before they even get a chance to finish their reports. And the 7,000 people 7,000 illegals that they let go included violent assaults, rapists, murderers, a cavalcade of violent criminals. Just walk right out the door. Absolutely insane. And they let nearly 7,000 go. There's still 7,000 more that have active detainers on them that are currently in jail that they're refusing to honor. And if this goes on until January 1st, when Mamdani's sworn in, what do you think the chances are that he's going to order his Department of Corrections to let them go? And just in case you thought I was, I don't know, exaggerating or something like that, let's take a look at some of these upstanding citizens that they just let walk out onto the street, back onto the street. Alexander Moreno Montoya, that's this guy right here. Charged with attempted murder, assault, weapons charges. He had an ICE detainer on him. New York responds. They respond with the meme. That meme. Oh no. Anyway, that's what they did. They just, yeah, that's nice. Walked right out the door. Later, he was involved in some more violence before he was finally tracked down by ICE. It's almost as though releasing these criminals is a bad idea. Almost. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I got something mixed up somehow. But there's another one, another winner. Let's see if I can find this guy. I mean, you can just take a look at all these winners. Oh yeah, this guy right here. Jesus Romero Hernandez. He's a Mexican national who was arrested for attacking a police officer with a machete. Why you would let someone who attacked anybody with a machete out on the street is just beyond me. Makes absolutely no sense. But he attacked a cop with a machete, which, frankly, I'm surprised he was still alive, honestly. But that aside, why would you let someone like that? Why would that even be a consideration? Why wouldn't you want to do everything you possibly could to get this guy off the street, and if he doesn't belong in the country, out of the country? What is going on up here with some of these people? I am truly mystified by some of this stuff. The whole soft on crime thing notwithstanding, on some level, I get the left's, I, I don't get where they're coming from, but I've been dealing with this long enough to understand that's their mentality. But you attack someone with a machete and you just get to walk out the door? Really? But then there's this guy, and I talked about this case when it happened. Christian Giovanni Engolandi, accused of raping a 13-year-old girl and filming it. Now, he was arrested. Actually, citizens, people who saw what was going on, they jumped on him and they detained him until the cops could get there. We don't know where he is. Everything I could find so far suggests that he hasn't been deported, but I can't find any records of him in the correctional system either. And that's not to say he's not there. I don't know. I could just be looking in the wrong place, whatever the case may be. But how is it that this case, which got so much attention when it first happened, and he's an illegal immigrant, why do we not know anything? Nothing. If you can find something, be my guest, put it in chat. But I haven't found anything. Why? No updates from NYPD, no updates from the DA. No court filings that I could find other than his initial arrest. They can track down, and this is what really I don't get. They can track down 20-year-old tweets in seconds. They can find people's. They can find anything, but this doesn't interest them at all. He raped a child. Nothing. So, I mean, we don't even know if he's out on the street. We don't know. And given their track record, that is a very distinct possibility. New York, Letitia James, Bragg, the entire criminal justice apparatus in New York City. They are endangering the people they're supposed to be protecting. You know, let me get this guy off the screen. They are endangering the people they're supposed to be protecting by allowing this nonsense. Not even allowing, encouraging. I mean, they're basically telling DHS to go pound sand. They've handed over a few people here and there, basically so they can claim that they're complying with a few while ignoring thousands. I mean, there's between the ones that they released and the ones that are still in custody that they refuse to honor the detainers on, 14,000. But ICE is the bad guy. But the rapists, the machete attackers, attempted murderers, they're the victims in this scenario, according to them. And so going back to this guy who assaulted this 13-year-old girl, if he's not in custody, there's a really good chance that he's not in New York anymore. There's a really good chance that he's in some other part of the country doing the same thing. And maybe learning and not getting caught this time. I talked about it in the last show, that there's this suicidal compassion, suicidal empathy that is permeating the justice system and permeating the left. Compassion is not a security plan. Compassion is, when it's taken to this degree, is societal suicide. It's societal suicide. Real compassion is protecting the innocent. Real compassion is getting justice for the victims of these people, not coddling them and patting them on the head and saying, do better next time. That's not compassion. That's accessory. When these people elevate their ideology, I guess, over the safety of their citizens, it's the citizens who pay the price. It's the citizens who pay the price. When compassion becomes performative, then cruelty becomes the policy. And this is just not sustainable. And anyone with a couple of firing neurons understands this. Or at least I would hope so. Leadership is supposed to protect the victims, not the perpetrators of these crimes. Speaking of crimes, oh boy. Speaking of crimes, let's I want to get into this. I think I touched on it last time, but I really want to get into it here because President Trump has been on a tear. He has lost his last F, really. He just doesn't care. And there are times when some of the things he says, I'm like, oh, really, dude? Did you really have to go there? And then sometimes, after you think about it for a minute, it's like, well, but did he lie? So on Thanksgiving, he went after Tim Walz and called him a retard. And it's not anything that wasn't said about him during the campaign. I mean, he's a blithering idiot. And President Trump did not hold back. And I want to play this. It's a longer clip, and I'm not going to play the whole thing, but just listen to this.
Waltz is a grossly incompetent man. There's something wrong with him, okay? There's something wrong with him. And when you look at what he's done with Somalia, which is barely a country, you know, they have no anything. They just run around killing each other. There's no structure. And when I see somebody like Ilhan Omar, who I don't know at all, but I always watch her for years. I've watched her complain about our Constitution, how she's being treated badly. Our Constitution, the United States of America, is a bad place. Hates everybody, hates Jewish people, hates everybody. And I think she's an incompetent person. She's a real terrible person. But when I watch what is happening in Minnesota, the land of 1,000 lakes, or however many lakes they have, they got a lot of lakes, but this beautiful place, and I see these people ripping it off, and now I'm understanding, and you're going to look at that, Scott, I hear they ripped off Somalians, ripped off that state for billions of dollars, billions, every year, billions of dollars, and they contribute nothing. The welfare is like 88%. They contribute nothing. I don't want them in our country, I'll be honest with you, okay? Somebody would say, oh, that's not politically correct. I don't care. I don't want them in our country. Their country is no good for a reason. Their country stinks, and...
Oh, boy. And I get people who take issue with that. I understand it. And there's a small part of me, when in his first term, when he would say and do stuff like that, I was like, really? And now when he says stuff like that, that part of me that reacts that way is not quite as big as it used to be, especially when it comes to this particular situation. I've been railing against Ilhan Omar for ever since her "some people did something" comment. I had even before that I had no use for it, but ever since then, I don't want to hear either, and I have no problem saying it. I don't care if you're offended. I don't care if she's offended. But I forgot that clip actually went into the fraud thing, which is what I really wanted to talk about, because all of this fraud, and I don't know if it is actually billions. He may have been exaggerating for effect, or he may be talking about total over the years. I don't know. But he pretty much nailed it. He pretty much nailed it. All of this fraud is happening under Mike Walls and or Tim Walls, excuse me. All of it's happening under his watch, and there are reports now that it had been reported to him that this was going on, and he punished the people reporting it. He retaliated against the people who were blowing the whistle. What does that tell you? That tells me that he was benefiting somehow. And I want to see, once the investigation is said and done, I want to see how much of it flowed into his pockets or flowed into some entities that he controls or that he supports. This is we've allowed this to happen. We've allowed this to happen. Our conservative leadership has allowed this to happen. And we're going to have to rein that in, hold them accountable, and make sure that they stop this nonsense. There's another thing. We're gonna circle back to that in a second. Well, I can't believe I just said that. Anyway, we're gonna get back to that, but there's something else that I wanted to talk about. And then we're gonna tie it all together. And this is something that happened up in Boston, actually, and it didn't get a whole lot of play. I mean, I've only seen it here on X, and when I was researching, I didn't find stories about it on any news outlet. But let's take a look at this, and then we'll get into it.
Get it. There is only one solution.
Now, I have a feeling Sackhead Sean may recognize that area. You'd be forgiven if you don't quite recognize it. But that was a pro-Palestinian protest on the site of the Boston Marathon bombing. Yeah. This, I know people who were there. I understand freedom of speech. I understand the First Amendment. So I understand that there probably wasn't a whole lot that the police could do in that situation. I would not have stood for that if I had been there. Not for a second. I probably would have went to jail. I don't care. That to me is unacceptable. And that citizens allow this is just mind-boggling to me. And we imported this nonsense. We have allowed this nonsense to metastasize. And this is what you get. People celebrating mass murder at the site that it happened. And they were saying globalize the intifada. I mean, they're calling for the destruction of Israel. They're calling for the mass murder of Israelis. They're calling for Israel to be wiped off the face of the earth. And this ties into what I was talking about in Minnesota, because we have these, and I know a lot of them, I talked about how a lot of them are actually citizens of the United States. A lot of them have been born here, even though they're raised by Somali parents and stuff like that. And so even though they're citizens, they're raised to basically hate this country. So deporting them is problematic. I understand that. But we imported the third world and have allowed it to metastasize to this point. And so we have people committing fraud, ripping off the taxpayers for billions of dollars, sending it overseas where it is almost a certainty that terrorist organizations are benefiting from this money. And then we have these morons in Boston talking about globalize the intifada. And we're told it's just free speech, community expression, whatever the case may be. And there's no coverage of it whatsoever. Sackhead Sean says this all started when the left started attacking the founders. Maybe even before then, but it definitely picked up steam when that happened, for sure. Something that Americans need to come to grips with is the fact that our enemies are not an ocean away anymore. Our enemies are no longer across the Atlantic. Our enemies are here. Our enemies are here, and they are serious. Just look at what's happening in Texas. Wajahat Ali just did a video where he talked about how he basically said, and I don't have it in front of me to play for you, but he basically said, y'all lost. We're here and we're outbreeding you. So he said it. I'll see if I can pull it up. But our enemies are here. They're not overseas anymore. And they're doing stuff like this, marching through cities, marching through places of solemn remembrance, like the Boston Marathon bombing, and basically urinating all over it. It's not, this isn't by accident. This is not by accident. America has imported these problems without instilling in the people that we're bringing over the sense that in order to be here, you had better want to be here and show some loyalty to the country that took you in out of the goodness of our hearts. And there was a time when that happened. We're not doing that anymore. They don't even bother trying to vet people anymore. Just look at what's going on with all these Afghan refugees who are getting arrested left and right now. And it was probably happening before, but now with the spotlight on them, we're seeing stories of these Afghan refugees getting arrested for terrorist activities. The terrorist who shot those two guardsmen in DC. Another one in Texas. So there's no vetting going on. Leadership just doesn't seem interested or too afraid to do anything about it, which emboldens these groups like these jabronis in Boston. What are we going to do about it? What are we going to do about it? They are, the elected officials are somehow terrified to admit what is staring us right in the face, and that importing people from unstable, extremist, and I'll go so far as to say Islamic countries may have some consequences. You think? And we're seeing those consequences. We're living through those consequences in real time. Thanks, Sean. Appreciate you being here. Sean has to run, but yeah, this is a huge problem. We're told that these people are vetted, Afghan refugees, when we know that's not true. It's quite obvious that's not true. Multiple Afghans who arrived as a result of that. I can't remember the name of it, Operation something or other. After that, the botched withdrawal from Afghanistan. Operation Welcome Allies or something like that. I can't remember. But these countries have no apparatus no records, and these people arrived with no identity documents. That's number one. A lot of them arrived, and we're finding out later that they have ties to the Taliban. Psychological red flags, like the guy who shot our guardsmen in DC, suicidal tendencies, and all kinds of other psychological issues. And they're just waved through. Their entry rubber stamped. Move along, nothing to see here. And we're told everything is just fine, not a problem. Minnesota is perfectly fine. Texas is perfectly fine. Over in the UK, they're finding out that things are not fine. And if we're not careful, that's going to metastasize here. We're a large enough country that it's going to take a little longer for us to reach that pitch that they reached over there in the UK, but it's coming. It's coming. But we're just supposed to ignore all of it, ignore the fraud, ignore the chance of globalizing intifada, ignore the chance of from the river to the sea, ignore the violence, ignore the psychological red flags, ignore all of it. It's fine. It's perfectly fine. Not a problem. They're trying to tell us that America isn't being surrendered. It's being culturally enriched or something. It's being culturally enriched at gunpoint while they siphon off all of our taxpayer money. And these people who are letting it happen think that security is optional. And we're told to just deal with it. Stop noticing this stuff. It's not a big deal. I beg to differ. It is a huge deal. And going back to the what we talked about at the beginning of the show, if we're not careful and we allow these leftists to take over, what we're seeing in Boston, what we're seeing in Minnesota, what we're seeing in Texas, all of that will grow. All of that will grow, and we will be in deep trouble. And the only thing that's gonna pull us out of that hole will be divine intervention, which is what I'm obviously praying for. That we all should be praying for that, but until then, faith without works is dead. We got to do something about it ourselves, in addition to praying. All right, y'all. Let's see if we can get you out of here on some lighter notes. Let's see, what do I got here? Well, maybe not so much. Maybe not so much lighter note, because I did want to talk about this, and this kind of ties into what we were talking about just now. In Minnesota, and this story, when I saw this, well, let's take a look at it, and then you'll see if what popped into my mind immediately pops into yours as well. This guy, Kalinle Ibram, abducted a 12-year-old girl in Minnesota, assaulted her, and the St. Paul Islamic Center wrote a letter of community support saying that he has not assimilated into non-Somali culture. Did you catch that? Because immediately when I read this last night, the first thing that popped into my head was, so abducting and sexually assaulting 12-year-old girls is Somali culture? Is that what you're telling me? Because if that's what you're telling me, I'm even more with President Trump. I don't want them here. Any of them, whether they were born here or not. Get out. Because that's what this is saying. The excuse that he has not assimilated into non-Somali culture, by definition, says that what he did is in accordance with Somali culture. Wow. Import the third world, become the third world. Unbelievable. All right, let's I got a couple of you know what, let's circle back to Afton Bain, because this is absolutely hilarious. She is not taking her loss well, apparently, because Tim Burchett, representative from Tennessee, he posted this on X yesterday, or the other day. He says, Republicans traditionally don't show up in an off year. We had a great candidate in Matt for Tennessee, and you can't deny the real Donald Trump effect. So he's saying that his his endorsement helped Matt Van Epps cross the finish line. Afton Bain retweeted #COPE. Now look at this. She posted all of the counties that voted. All of them show Matt Van Epps winning, +8, +23, +43, +53. Davidson County is the only county that she won. She won it by 56. That's the county where Nashville is. But she lost all of these other counties. And she's telling Burchett to cope. She needs to take her own advice, because this is a cell phone like I have rarely seen on X. I mean, this is this is hilarious. Congratulations, you played yourself. Wow. That was absolutely hilarious. So, yeah, she's not taking this well at all. Let's see what else we got. I get a lot of my funny levity moments from Twitchy, because they just don't care. Let's see what else we got. Nothing really stands out. You know what? Let's. I do want to, since we got some time. I wasn't going to talk about this. Didn't really warrant a segment or anything like that, but Dylan Douglas, Michael Douglas and Catherine Zeta-Jones's son, was on CNN. I guess he has a podcast, and he's Michael Douglas's son, so he obviously gets more exposure than is warranted based on what we saw happen here. But he's a 25-year-old kid trying to make a name for himself in political punditry, I guess. And Scott Jennings slapped him down hard. And I want to show this, because this was actually kind of hard to watch when it happened. But check this out.
Scott, with all respect, you cannot put on the American people that Democrats were the one that were hurting people, making this plight.
Who was casting the votes against opening the government? Democrats or Republicans?
Who was
casting the votes?
Scott, who was wanting to cut SNAP benefits?
Nobody.
And who was playing up
SNAP
SNAP benefits after 2 courts ruled that it was unallowed?
Republicans voted to fund SNAP 15 times. Democrats voted to defund it 15
and you talk
times.
About the affordable,
and we had to get 8 to join us.
Health care. Scott, with all respect, you cannot put on the American people.
And that went on for a few, probably another minute or so, where he was just stammering, and it was it was tough to watch. It was tough to watch. And apparently there was some reporting that Catherine Zeta-Jones and Michael Douglas were upset that their son got slapped around. But now they're saying that was fake news. It didn't happen, whatever. I brought that up because I saw Meghan McCain. She did a segment with Scott Jennings, and they talked about this. And I didn't get a chance to edit that because I decided didn't think I was going to get to talk about it. But anyway, she talked about Nepo babies and how she got thrown into the deep end when she was young, when her dad was still alive, and Paul Begala basically did to her what Scott Jennings just did to Dylan Douglas. And these kids need to figure out, you can't just, this isn't something that just happens. This isn't something that you just walk into because your last name is Douglas. This is some, Scott Jennings talked about on that segment how he spends, when he's going to be on, he spends most of his day studying and preparing and working so that he can dismantle all of these arguments. And it's obvious when you watch this show, because it seems like the leftists just think, oh, well, I got this. This is no big deal. But if you don't understand what is happening, if you are not prepared, what happened to him is what happens to all of them. And it's it's just funny that these kids, I mean, he's 25 years old. If he continues on this in this career, he'll get better probably a little bit, but he's a leftist, so he's probably not going to take the time to, there's only one leftist I can think of who actually presents well-reasoned arguments and can actually go toe-to-toe with most conservatives, and that's Alan Dershowitz. And he's not a hard-line left-wing bat crap crazy activist. He's a typical an old school Democrat. So he's not crazy. He's not AOC crazy, which is probably why he can present some fairly well-reasoned arguments. I disagree with him almost all the time, but at least he's not coming at it like this kid. It's just it's just hilarious to watch, and I'm going to be interested to see if he sticks it out or if he tucks tail and runs. But anyway, I thought that was I thought that was kind of funny. But that's all I got for you this time, y'all. I will keep trying to make each show better than the last. If any of what I said hits home for you, please take a second to like and subscribe and share with everyone that you know, because I'm not just here to run my mouth. I'm here to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ and the message of hope and faith and freedom for future generations. And if you want some cool gear, please head over to missionreadymen.com, click Shop 7 Armors, and check out all of our great designs there about bold faith, true grit, and unapologetic patriotism. And as always, when seconds count, the police are only minutes away, but the Lord is right there with you. So keep your prayers going up and your head on a swivel.